Picture this. You're halfway through a DIY car fix, tools scattered everywhere, and boom, you realize you're missing a part. It's okay because you know whatever it is, it's on eBay. They've got everything. Brakes, headlights, cold air intakes, whatever you need. And it's guaranteed to fit, which means no more crossing your fingers and hoping you ordered the right thing. All the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love.
When it comes to Father's Day, some things never change. Dads want steak. And the experts at Omaha Steaks are making it easy for you to deliver uncompromising quality with gifts that are sure to make his day. Plus, get an extra $35 off with code THANKSDAD when you shop omahasteaks.com today. We know, being your dad means he already has everything he could want. But just picture the look on his face when he sees those extra-aged USDA-certified tender steaks, juicy air-chilled chicken, beefy burgers, and more. With carefully curated gift packages from America's original butcher, it's never been easier to show everyone why you're Dad's favorite. And every bite is 100% guaranteed to bring a thrill to the king of the grill. Shop now at omahasteaks.com and get an extra $35 off with code THANKSDAD. But don't wait. Father's Day is June 15th. Minimum purchase may apply. See site for details.
Welcome to the Retreat Leaders Podcast, your sanctuary with retreat experts, where we spill the tea on retreat success. Here we dive into crafting transformational guest experiences, talk about how to avoid pitfalls, and unlock marketing secrets. Whether you're a seasoned guru or a budding enthusiast, we've got the inside scoop for you. Join us as we learn how to flourish in this magical world of retreats. Hey guys, welcome to the Retreat Leaders Podcast, formerly the Happy Hour Podcast. I'm excited to have an expert on strategy and marketing today. And so I want to welcome to the show, Naomi Rose. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
I'm so excited that you are here too, because I think one of the biggest things that everybody who runs a business struggles with is exactly what you're going to talk about today, which is strategy and marketing. And I love that you have them together, and it's not just marketing and it's not just strategy, because they go hand in hand completely. So I'm so excited about that. Hey, retreat leaders. Are your retreats the hidden gems of the travel world just waiting to be discovered? Well, it's time to shine a spotlight on them. Introducing the ultimate guide you've been waiting for, our free guide, Top 11 Tips for Building an Email List for you, the retreat leaders. Imagine an email list packed with eager attendees, hanging on to your every word and ready to book at the click of a button. We share the blueprint to creating a list that sells. Don't miss out on the action. Learn how to connect deeply with your audience, boost your bookings, and create a buzz that fills every retreat. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, these 11 tips are your secret weapon to success. Visit retreatleaderlistbuilding.com now to grab your free copy and start building an email list that sells out your retreats. And then you'll have to tell me, what does your digital GP mean? I'm just looking at your screen.
Yeah. So GP in the UK, because I live in the UK, GP
Yes.
means general practitioner. So it's like your general doctor. So when something's not feeling right, you go to them to go, something's not right. I need you to figure out what it is. And I'm the equivalent of that for business owners, basically. So
I love that.
Yeah, so I don't specialize in like you go to like an eye doctor when you have eye problems. I don't specialize in like eyes or social media or websites, because I can't, my brain doesn't work like that. I fit it all together. It has to be in one big picture for me, because as you said, strategy and marketing go hand in hand. Without one another, they're not going to work together. And that's what's crucial for me. So I'll just kind of ask a question about social media, and then they'll go, well, hang on a minute, what are you doing with email? How does that join up together? And the businesses work best when you've got that right balance, and it's finding that balance which is unique to everybody. And that's why I call myself the GP, because I look at things like a doctor would try and think, how do you get your body back to working efficiently as possible? I do the same for business.
Woo! Yes. All the yeses. Okay. Well, why don't you just, and you gave us a tiny little tidbit, but why don't you just tell us who you are and how you got to be doing what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I've had quite an interesting entrepreneurial journey, but I actually started, I'm a classically trained cellist. So my world, which I've known from as long as I can remember, is music. I have been in events and entertainments all my life. I've been on stage and I've also been behind the scenes. So when I came out of music performance out of university, I went into doing all the backstage. I went into arts management. And that was because I loved organizing events. I love doing events. I love being in the thick of it, getting your hands involved. Whatever job needs doing, the show goes on. It doesn't matter what job you are assigned to do. You've got a show to deliver, you just keep going. And it's something you need to know in business is how to just keep going when things happen. It just happens. The world is always like that. And I kind of got into the world of marketing from there, really, and planning and strategy, which took me into like non-profit corporate sectors, doing different kind of events, campaigns, launches, being creative, but then being able to do the spreadsheet side of it. So I was in charge of like large scale campaigns at one point, massive rebrands, and then digital teams. So I would head up anything that was digital in large scale organizations. And I got to a point with those organizations where I love working with the people and I kind of like what I was doing, but I'm not a 9 to 5 kind of person. I'm a musician by trade. We don't work in a set format. And I really just wanted to work for myself. And in a roundabout way, I thought, I'm going to go and be a consultant. I'm going to do digital consultancy. That's what I'm going to do. And then an opportunity came up in my local town, and I found this amazing building that I went, this would make the most incredible cafe bar. And that's what I did. So no experience whatsoever in how to professionally bake. I just loved to bake. And I went and did that because there was an opportunity. I saw a vision, I put a plan together, and it kind of just snowballed. You wasn't supposed to do that. It just did. And it was like, we can't really do this, can we? Oh, okay. No, we are doing it. Apparently we are. And it just, at a certain point, you don't want to lose faith. So you just keep going. And that's how I got into running my own businesses, was kind of flying by the seat of my pants a lot of the time and figuring it out, because there was no one out there that could tell me how to open a cafe and a bar, because no one really dealt with the small, medium businesses very specifically like that. I couldn't find a coach. I couldn't find a mentor. I had Google. That was my friend. Google was my best friend. And I learned everything, and I went from there. And then obviously the pandemic hit, and that was an interesting time generally for any business, but particularly for hospitality, where strategy, I'd always been a strategist. That was my, like, I was marketing, I was branding, and I knew I could start a business because I knew how to do those things, because that would be what would get me the customers in the door. And having a strategy behind that was what was going to make sure that I was financially sound. But when COVID came, what I'd learned over the last 15 months didn't matter anymore. It was irrelevant. And I had to be much more agile, fleet of foot. And I had team and people to manage, and new laws every other week and all sorts of things. So you had to have a different type of strategy, a different plan, a different way to market stuff. And then you had to think of different revenue streams, because what was working before wasn't allowed to happen. So that's when I crowdfunded a bakery. And I thought, crowdfunding is a genius way to do it. And I didn't think of it. It took me a year to think of it, because someone said, why don't you crowdfund? I'm like, why don't I crowdfund? Why did I not think of that? It's the most obvious thing to do, because not only would the way crowdfunding works is you have a set amount of time to raise a certain amount of money. If you don't make that money, it doesn't happen. But what crowdfunding does is it allows people to invest. So they're not donating, they're investing in your business in kind for something once the thing that you're offering is up and running. In my case, obviously the bakery. So I had different reward levels so that people could buy subscriptions or get loaves of bread or come for an afternoon tea or get a baking class, whatever that might be. And over 300 people invested. It was so overwhelming, I couldn't believe it. So we well and truly made the money on that and was able to build the bakery. I then did something slightly mad and entered the team into Britain's Best Loaf Awards pretty much straight after we opened, which was no time, bearing in mind that I'm not a professional baker. And then they went on to win it 3 months later, which was incredible. But even with all of that, behind the scenes was the cost of living crisis starting to build. And sometimes there was just no way you can fight a global pandemic and the effects it had. I mean, for businesses here in the UK and all over the world, there were so many things that happened that just made it not financially viable. In my case, it was the cost of overheads, electricity, energy, all of those things that I could not control that were coming down the track, where I'd seen bakeries going from paying something like about £1,000 a month to 10,000. I mean, how can you manage that kind of bill when you're selling bread? You can't. And there's only so much you can do to pass on to a customer before you go, hey, can you buy a loaf of bread for like $12? You can't do that in some situations. They're not going to buy it, and you don't feel right selling it, and it's just not sustainable. So I had to make the choice very early in 2022, which was almost a year after the bakery had opened, to say, this isn't going to financially work anymore. The overheads are too much for the current climate. And at that point, I thought, what am I going to do now? Because I really didn't want to close it. It was not something I wanted to do. And I felt like I'd let a lot of people down from doing that. But I didn't want to lose everything I'd learned. So I took that and turned it into what I do now, which is helping other business owners find businesses that work for them and find the clients that they want to work with. Because you shouldn't be in business and then it kind of gets to a point where you're hating it. It shouldn't be like that. And I've seen the sides where it gets really, really challenging, and you have to dig so deep that you don't know that you've got levels to get down that low. And I don't want people to have to do that, because they shouldn't be alone in business. Even though we often start alone, we shouldn't be alone in business. And I want to give people the opportunity to have the business they want and that they love, that works in a way for them, whatever their lifestyle requirements have. And that's how I came up with Digital GP.
Okay, there's so much there to unpack. One of the things that just kept resonating with me as you're telling the story, which, by the way, like, wow, is you are able to also pivot very well. I mean, you started in this space of music and then events and then behind the scene events. And then you went into like corporate marketing, and then you went into like bakery cafe, and then you went into crowdfunding a bakery. And then you went into it's like you were able to pivot every time you saw the need to pivot. And I can't tell you how many times, that lesson alone, I can't tell you how many times I've worked with business owners or have talked to business owners, and they are like, I don't know if it's not seeing the writing on the wall, or they're just not wanting to get off course that they're on, right? And so they go all the way into the brick wall, through the brick wall, and off the cliff, not realizing that if they had just turned right or left, you know what I mean? Like, they could have taken everything that they've learned, just like you said, you took everything that you learned as you've gone along and used it to pivot in such a successful way. Like, yay.
Yeah, and it's not easy to pivot. And I've been staring at a place where I think, what am I going to do to change it? And the change is daunting, because particularly when it's your own business and you've taken that time to build it, it feels like you're having to start again. And that is so often the scary bit, because you know what it's like to start. And it's not starting a business, however we dress it up, you need all the resilience and the mindset to really drive it forward, because on those low days, it's really low and you have to keep pushing forward and have your eyes on those goals. But sometimes what you thought was going to work just doesn't. And it's not your fault for doing that necessarily. It's just that you're learning. Business is a learning curve. And, if you said that to a child in school that realizes they've started on a subject and realize they actually don't like it and they want to change, you wouldn't go, how dare you? You go, yeah, sure. If it's not for you, don't worry, let's change it. It's the same in business. If you get to a point where you think, this isn't working for me, something's not right here, it's in your power to change. And that the only thing we can guarantee in this life is change. Change is inevitable, and you have to go with it. And sometimes you do have to make those difficult choices. It's not always easy, but pivoting is definitely always worth doing if something doesn't feel right, and you always feel it in your gut. I'm a big believer in intuition, and if you feel it's not right, it's not right. It doesn't matter what anyone says.
I agree. And there is a difference between it just feels hard versus it doesn't feel right, because pivoting is hard. Running a business is hard. Changing your mind and turning around is hard. Quitting something is hard. All of those things are hard, but they're all really a learning opportunity for you to get in the space that feels right, because hard is hard, but then it doesn't feel right hard. And that is different, right? Because even in my business, like, I love what I do, and most of it is amazing, but there's times where it's really fucking hard, and that's okay, because it still feels right. Right. And then there's those times where it's like, you're in a business, and I've had several businesses where this is hard and it doesn't feel right. Like I don't feel aligned. And so, yes, but I've seen too many business owners, whether you're a retreat leader, whether you're a dance instructor who now wants to open a dance studio, no matter what it is, where they take their passion and they turn it into a business and then they find that they hate it. They're like, wait, I liked doing the thing, but running it as a business and doing the thing doesn't feel right anymore. And so listening to that and being able to pivot and saying, okay, well, how can I change this? Instead of having a brick and mortar, do I turn it into an online business? Do I teach others how to do this thing? Whatever it is, but being able to pivot is huge. And taking that as a learning experience versus quote unquote failure. I can't stand failure. I hate that word.
Yeah, me too. And it would be a fine word if we understood it in the context of failure is about learning. It's like...
Hey, it's Shannon here. I'm just popping in really quickly to ask a big favor. Would you pause the show and go review it for us? Please. Reviews really help us to be able to get more guests and more experts on the show to help you transform your retreats. So if you wouldn't mind pausing and leaving us a review, that would mean everything. And if you're not already subscribed, do that too.
I mean, I'm a baker. If I could tell you how many sourdoughs I made before I opened that bakery, because I knew sourdough is the trendy thing and I hated sourdough. I didn't like the taste of it. I didn't want to make it. But I knew that was what was going to sell in my bakery. I knew that's what people wanted because everybody tried to make sourdough. I was a failed sourdough person during lockdown. That is how much I did not like sourdough. But I literally had to reset my mind from getting frustrated with this bread that came out flat like pancakes every single time I did it. And it took 3 months every day of tweaking tiny, tiny details. And it came down to, I think, 25 mil of water. That was the tweak I made. That was it. That was in the whole process of it. But I had to think like a scientist. It became about data and information. And with businesses, and particularly once we start ourselves, and this is one I learned very much the hard way, it can be a very emotional experience. And it's separating those emotions and allowing those emotions to be part of your business, because I believe businesses are built better on passion, but being able to differentiate between understanding the data and what you need to get you to where you want to be and how it makes you feel about doing it. And this, again, a mistake I made when I went into business, and in a way, when I look back now, I'm like, why did I not think about this when I went into business? Because when I went into business, I thought about the job roles I needed for the practical stuff in the cafe. I thought I needed cooks, I needed bar people, I needed front of house, and I needed me to run it. What I didn't think about was all of those other roles that I would need, like someone to help with the admin, someone to help with the marketing. I had someone to help with the finances and be an accountant. And when you start on your own, you automatically assume a lot of the time you're going to be all those roles. The reality is they're not all those roles are your skill sets. I will put my hands up and say finances and understanding how to do the books and the taxes is not my bag. I have someone to do that because they are expert in it. So it's sometimes worth thinking about, when you start that business, what roles do I need to get me to where I want to be, and how soon can you bring those people on, so that you can focus on the stuff that makes you happy in your business and do the stuff that you're passionate about. We forget that bit.
That is such a good point, because you're right. A lot of times these folks that do follow their passion and they turn it into a business, one of the reasons why they end up not loving it anymore or hating it is because they are wearing so many hats. And they don't realize that and I know it sounds scary and you're like, but I don't want to spend the money. But the sooner you get people in that can properly wear those hats so that you can focus on what you love, that's actually when your business grows. That's actually when it turns around and it becomes an actual profitable, joyful experience, versus staying there and wearing all of those hats, feeling worn out, feeling like this just isn't for me, and chucking it out the door.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people aren't experts in marketing. And it changes all the time. It's difficult. It's really, really hard. And I know that because I've done it for 20 years. I've seen lots of changes. And, you think, okay, well, I posted on social media, do this and that. You're probably going to waste more time and energy, and it's going to cost you money by not getting the help you need, even if it's just someone to teach you how to do it, because there are ways and means. but think about what those roles are, what they look like, and even write like job descriptions for them so that you know from the very beginning of starting business, these are the different hats I'm going to be wearing, and today I'm going to be doing marketing. But if marketing is not your thing, find a way to either get help or learn how to do it so it's easier for you, and then you'll not hate it so much.
Agreed. And so that being the case, you're one of those experts that could help a retreat leader, whether they're new or not new, figure out a strategy and marketing plan for their business. Can you tell me how that looks and how that would work for someone?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when it comes to organizing any event, and I've done all sorts of different events over my times. I've done like events for politicians, I've done events for large scale festivals. And it's thinking about the audience. I'm thinking about that whole customer, what I call the customer experience. I'm not going to go into the jargon because I hate jargon, but it's what does it feel like for someone to attend your event? What do you need to do for them to really feel like they're part of that event? And it's got to come down to that person. You've got to have that person in mind. So think about your own experience and what you would want from those things. And it's sometimes just the little details. So when it comes down to planning, the key thing is to map out exactly what you want to get from it. What is it that the goals are? What are you looking to achieve from it? What do you want your people that attend your retreat? What are they going to get out of it? What is their transformation? There are your goals. And that has got to be front of mind when you start planning out your event, of exactly what those goals are. And they could be a mixture of transformational for that person. It could be, depending on the different types of retreat you have, they might want to be fitter at the end of it. They might want to, like, one of the things I'm looking at is a content retreat. So they might want to be able to have their content plan for 90 days by the end of it. What is it that they're hoping to get out of it? One of those other goals could be financial in terms of what you're going to take from that, because we don't often talk about the numbers enough. So think about how much you want to take from it, because costs rack up and we need to be really open-minded, particularly when it comes to events, and we don't often include our time in that. So think about what exactly you want to take from that as well, and then work out how you're going to get to those goals. What is it, the steps you need to do exactly to get you there? What is it that you need to set up? What systems do you have in place? And it's again, like I say, I'm a planner. When I built the cafe, and this is what I've used throughout all different campaigns, events and everything, I literally have a spreadsheet that has every line in it of things that need to be done, how important they are to be done. So I sometimes do them in what they call a Moscow, a must, should, could, would, so I can prioritize, and then I put a deadline next to them. So I know exactly what I've got to do by when and how. And then it's figuring out then how many tickets you need to sell, what you need to do by when, where you're going to promote it, where your clients are, who are these clients, what are going to be their needs, what's going to resonate with them. So once you start to kind of get those bits of information down on paper, then it's a matter of then just getting everything set up. So you've got everything done ahead of time. And I always advise doing it ahead of time, because then you can actually enjoy the process of it. Because undoubtedly there'll be stuff that come up at last minute. People change their minds. There'll be details that get missed off. So leave like bits in your plan so there's a bit of flexibility. But if you have all of those kind of processes, reminders, systems in place for getting it and done, and you've built in extra time for you so that you're not getting to the retreat and being completely wiped out from doing the organising and then having to deliver it, then that's so much easier. And once you've done it once and you've got that, you've then got that system set up forever that you can then just bring it out for the next event. So sometimes it does take a little bit of legwork doing it the first time and getting it set up correctly. Once you've got it once, you've got it for life. That's the great thing about doing this kind of methodological and process way. It doesn't sound very sexy, but it helps so much.
I agree. And this is whether you've already hosted retreats or not. If you've already hosted retreats and you're just finding you're not getting the results you want, going through this process from scratch, I still think is super important. And you talked about like their goals and then what the customer should experience and then detailing it out and then a marketing plan. And I'm one that always says, first start even just like with your why. Like, why do you want to do this in the first place? Because that's what's going to have to hold you through the challenges and the obstacles and the learning process and all of that kind of stuff. So I love this process that you're talking about. Hey guys, I'm popping in to ask a quick question. Are you ready to elevate your marketing game and fill those retreat slots faster than ever? Of course you are. That's why you're here. And we've got the toolkit for you, our top 5 marketing tools for retreat leaders guide. This isn't just a guide. It's your marketing guru wrapped up in one easy-to-follow package. Dive into the essentials of social media marketing, where we show you how to leverage those platforms to create a community buzzing with excitement for your retreats. Also, unleash the power of content marketing with strategies that educate and engage your potential guests. Plus, we'll dive into email marketing, SEO, and partnership opportunities that open new doors and bring in streams of attendees. So why wait to make your retreats the talk of the town? Download your free guide today by visiting retreatmarketingtools.com and start transforming your retreat dreams into reality. Tell me, if someone wants to work with you so that you can help them with their strategy and marketing, what do they need to do?
They can go visit my website, naomicrose.co. So that's Naomi Rose, ROSE, like the flower, .co. And you can just book I do like a free business audit and a free marketing audit. So just hop on a call and you can see some of my different services on there as well. But I'm also on all the socials and all the links on the website. So just go to the website, you'll find stuff there. But yeah, definitely. And one other thing I will mention is, if you've done retreats before, look at the data. Before you do the next one, look at the information, look at the stats, look at what's worked and what hasn't. Don't necessarily do it at the time because you'll probably be tired, you're probably a bit emotional and it's not the moment. But when you're feeling a bit more objective, come back to it then, have a look at the data. And when you're setting up retreats, put data processes in place so you can track that data, so you can get information for the next time because it will help you. It makes life so much easier.
Yeah, I love that, because even if you do come up with a system, it may still need to be tweaked a tiny bit as you continue to grow and develop. And you may change. Like if you looked at what type of retreats I used to host when I first started hosting versus what they look like today, they're actually quite different. And so as you change, a little bit of your processes will change too. So you'll have a blueprint, I think I'm hearing you say, like you can create this beautiful blueprint, but within the blueprint, there might be some tweaks as you go along and you grow and you decide you want to make some changes in your business.
Yeah, absolutely. And every plan should be flexible. It's not something that you do and it's rock solid. If COVID is nothing to learn from, everything has to have a bit of flexibility. But if you've got a plan, you will get there, even if there are diversions along the way.
Yes. And I will have all of Naomi's information in the show notes, so you can pop into the show notes to grab that information. But thank you so much for being on the show and sharing your story, as well as just your experience and your tips. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
Thanks for listening to the Retreat Leaders Podcast. Learn more at www.theretreatranch.com. See you next time.
When it comes to Father's Day, some things never change. Dads want steak. And the experts at Omaha Steaks are making it easy for you to deliver uncompromising quality with gifts that are sure to make his day. Plus, get an extra $35 off with code THANKSDAD when you shop omahasteaks.com today. We know, being your dad means he already has everything he could want. But just picture the look on his face when he sees those extra-aged USDA-certified tender steaks, juicy air-chilled chicken, beefy burgers, and more. With carefully curated gift packages from America's original butcher, it's never been easier to show everyone why you're Dad's favorite. And every bite is 100% guaranteed to bring a thrill to the king of the grill. Shop now at omahasteaks.com and get an extra $35 off with code THANKSDAD. But don't wait. Father's Day is June 15th. Minimum purchase may apply. See site for details.